Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. We're going to be making some Victorian vinegar cookies. And I know that you see Christmas decorations in my kitchen, but I had so many Christmas candies and cookies and cakes and recipes that I wanted to share with you that I went ahead and recorded them, and I just didn't get them all posted because I didn't have time, and I knew that you probably wouldn't have time to watch them either. But even though it's after the first of the year and you still see Christmas decorations, these are going to be really good cookies that you can cook and serve all year long. Now, let's talk about cookies for just a minute. I love a good cookie. I didn't grow up on cookies. My mama made cakes and pies, and I don't know, I guess that she felt like that it would go further if she had a big cake or several pies. So she just didn't make cookies because it probably took a little bit longer to make them as well. But we did have cookies when I was growing up because my daddy, our daddy, worked at Sunshine Biscuit Company for a short while just before he died. And I was 12 years old, my brother was 14, and my sister was 15, leaving my mother with 3 teenage children. So we did have cookies because he brought cookies home. He drove a truck and delivered cookies to grocery stores and businesses, and it was just a fun time, and we felt real special because we did have cookies. But I'm going to tell you what I have in the recipe, and then I'll bring you in and I'll show you, and we'll make them together. The first thing that we're starting out with are 2 sticks of butter, and I've let this sit out and become room temperature. 2 sticks of butter is a cup of butter. And then I'm going to use 3/4 of a cup of white granulated sugar. I'm going to use a tablespoon of white vinegar. Now, I didn't bring the little jug out because I buy it in a big jug because I use a lot of vinegar when I'm cleaning. So I will be using a tablespoon of white vinegar. I'm also using 1 3/4 cup of plain flour. And of course, plain is all-purpose flour. And we're going to sift that and then measure it. So after it's measured, it's 1 3/4 cup of plain flour. To the flour, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm using a cup of chopped pecans, and that's all that it takes to make these wonderful Victorian vinegar cookies. So let's get started and make these cookies, and then we'll taste them. I have preheated our oven to 300 degrees. You can probably hear the fan going. If you hear a little noise, that's what that is. And I have sifted our dry ingredients. Remember, 1 3/4 cup of plain all-purpose flour, and I sifted it, measured, and then I put the 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda in that. So I have our dry ingredients ready and our butter. So I'm going to begin by creaming the butter, and today I'm using my hand mixer. I hope this little bowl that I've got is large enough to do what I need to do without getting it everywhere. So the first thing you want to do is to cream the butter. To that, I'm going to add the sugar, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Just mixing that around, blending it well. And I've always heard and always tried to just kind of add my sugar gradually when I'm making a cake. It seems to do better. Kind of mix that around, making sure that there are no granules that are not incorporated into the butter. And next, I'm going to add a tablespoon of vinegar. And we'll set that aside. This is incredibly easy. It's fast. It's delicious. My mother made these cookies. As I said, she didn't make cookies when we were growing up, but in her latter years, she did make some cookies, and she made these little cookies, and she would take them to her quilting group or to a Sunday school party, or if she had a Bible study at her house. She would serve these little Victorian vinegar cookies, and the ladies just loved them. So now I'm adding our dry ingredients, our flour, to the butter and the sugar and the vinegar. Just a little bit at a time, mixing that around. Making sure that it's all incorporated. Turning the bowl so that we get all sides. And you can tell that it's beginning to get thick, like cookie dough. And that's the way cookie dough should be. We're going to be spooning this by teaspoons onto a non-greased baking dish or cookie sheet. So we'll finish adding the flour. And once we get the flour added and incorporated, then we're going to stir in the pecans. Turn it up a little bit so we can make sure it's all mixed well. And you can tell it's looking like cookie dough. Okay, we're going to set that aside. And now we're going to scrape the sides down. Oh, this is so creamy and good. And the reason that you don't have to grease your cookie sheet is that there's enough butter and shortening in this that it doesn't need it. So now I'm going to stir in the pecans, just like that. And this does not call for vanilla. I know that some of you have asked that in some of my previous videos. Do you add vanilla? But this particular recipe does not call for vanilla. So now we're ready to dip it out and put it on our cookie sheet, and I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to do that. I've started to dip our cookies, and I'm using 2 little teaspoons. These are just kitchen spoons, and I'm filling the spoon about 3/4 full, and then I'm just dropping it on this ungreased cookie sheet. I think that I'm going to have enough to have 2 cookie sheets. So what I'll do while one is cooking, I'll go ahead and I'll drop the other cookie sheet and have it right ready to go in the oven. Now you have to cook these, bake these cookies about 30 minutes. But you know, I always tell you that my oven cooks faster than most ovens. So I'll be checking this. I'll start checking about 20 minutes because I sure don't want them to get overcooked and over brown. But now these cookies will not be real dark. They'll be light. And that's what you want them to be. And they're going to be really, really good. So I'm going to work to finish filling this cookie sheet that I'm working on, and then I'm going to put it in the oven, and I'll come back and I'll show you once they get done. Okay, we're going to open the oven door, and we're going to pull these cookies out and check them. And they have been cooking exactly 27 minutes, and I believe that they are done. I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to put them on a cooling rack, and then I'm going to just pop the other tray right into the oven and when I get them all done, I'll come back and I'll show you, and as I said, we'll taste them. Okay, our cookies are all done. I've taken the first batch off of the little rack that I was cooling them on. I have a good cup of coffee, and no, I'm not going to eat this whole little tray of cookies, but I certainly could. But I hope that you'll make some Victorian vinegar cookies to share with your family and to share with your friends. And I'm going to come over closer so that you can see them. I hope they don't fall off. I'm real good at letting things slide off. But I'm going to get one. I told you that we were going to taste them. These are crunchy and they're so, so good. I'll see you again real soon. Have a good day.